Would Roman Reigns ever go to AEW? Is he loyal to WWE no matter what? Or is there any scenario that would cause him to jump ship to AEW? A scenario perhaps such as the worst wrestling booker in history taking over his show and running it into the ground. Well, we're gonna see, because we're back on TEW 2020, and we're gonna book SmackDown every week with one little plot twist. Before every single show, I will choose the hardline stance. This allows anyone who's not happy with my booking to walk away on the spot and leave. And we're going to keep this up every week until we find out who the snakes are and who's loyal to WWE no matter what. Right, so the first show opens up with Roman Reigns in the ring, and he says, Finn Balor, I'm not waiting till Extreme Rules. I want to wrestle you tonight and defend my title. This video is actually being released after Extreme Rules happened, so this could actually be the most outdated video I've ever made. Pretend Extreme Rules hasn't happened. Then, for the women's tag titles, Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox take on Tamina and Natalya. Oh my god, this video is very outdated. I wrote this like a week ago, and I'm only recording it now. Just ignore the inconsistencies. So Shotzi and Tegan win the women's tag titles. Sonya Deville then announces Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the title. Then Cesaro comes out and he's like, Baron Corbin, you're rich and you're really annoying me. How about we fight and the winner takes the loser's money, so that way the winner is really rich and the loser goes back to being sad Baron Corbin. Then Sami Zayn takes on Nakamura for the Intercontinental title, and it's a rematch from Nakamura's debut. It's an absolute fucking banger. 30 minutes of the best wrestling ever. Well done, Corporate Keen. Excellent booking. Then Dominic Mysterio takes on Kevin Owens, and Dominic wins. And then afterwards, he challenges Nakamura to a match next week for the Intercontinental title, because Nakamura retained, but I forgot to mention that because I'm really bad at this. Toni Storm takes on Carmella, and Toni wins in like 1 minute. The Street Profits challenge the Usos for a match next week for the SmackDown Tag Titles, unless they are the champions after winning at Extreme. Pretend Extreme Rules never happened, please. Then in the main event, Roman Reigns takes on Finn Balor for the Universal title. Balor wins. And Roman Reigns has asked for his release. He lasted one show, and it wasn't even like I gave him the hardline stance and asked him if he wanted to leave. He didn't even wait. He said, look, I want to leave now. This is shite. I guess that answers the question only a couple of minutes in, but we'll continue anyway. Reigns is gone, and now we have to see before our next show who will take the offer of walking out and being free to wrestle somewhere else. Carmella, Kevin Owens, and Paul Heyman. And that's it. We can make that work. We start the show with Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of Finn Balor. That's to set up a match for the following week. Dominic Mysterio takes on Nakamura for the Intercontinental title in a 30-minute classic. Dominic Mysterio wins. Then Cesaro takes on Baron Corbin. Winner gets everybody's money. Baron Corbin is the winner. And the idea is that Cesaro then develops this sort of sad Baron Corbin character. Then Toni Storm takes on Liv Morgan, and Toni fucking destroys her in about a minute. Seth Rollins takes on Sami Zayn, and they go to an 8-minute draw because I was putting the show together and 8 minutes was all I really had left, so they just draw after 8 minutes. Bianca Belair goes to take on Becky Lynch, except the data I'm using is outdated, so Becky Lynch is actually still pregnant. So instead, Bianca Belair defends her title against Sonya Deville, and Bianca Belair wins. Then Naomi comes out and beats the shit out of Sonya Deville. Then it's the Usos and the Street Profits for the tag titles in a steel cage, 30-minute classic. The Street Profits win the belts, and then after the match, Shotzi and Tegan come out and they challenge the Street Profits for a tag title match next week. The show had its issues, alright? The show had its issues. Pete Dunne won a championship. It was the 24/7 title in NXT, but it's still a championship. Now it's time for show number 3, and before we get into that, I do have to deal with some backstage incidents. Unfortunately, Kevin Patrick got into an argument with a fan outside and nearly punched him. This is acceptable, and I really would give Kevin Patrick a raise, but unfortunately I can't. Raw has lost all its TV deals because I've been cancelling every single Raw just to focus on SmackDown. Chris Guy threw a punch at Big E backstage and he got beaten up as a result. That is hilarious. And I've just done the hardline stance, and fortunately there is nobody who took the offer. Everybody is sticking with us going into show number 3, besides Nakamura, Rollins, Jimmy Uso, Naomi, Sami Zayn and Brock Lesnar. But besides that, it's plain sailing. We can't do Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor anymore. That is not an issue. We're going to open up with a 30-minute Baron Corbin match as Baron Corbin takes on Rey Mysterio in a number one contenders match, with the winner being Baron Corbin. Then Corbin and Balor have a brawl afterwards. Dominic Mysterio takes on an incredibly low-res Rick Boogs for the Intercontinental title. Dominic wins in a minute. And after their tag team title loss the previous week, Natalya takes on Tamina in a 25-minute classic. Natalya wins, and afterwards she challenges Dominic for his Intercontinental Championship. Then Toni Storm takes on Sasha Banks. Toni Storm wins in a minute, and then she grabs the mic and challenges Bianca Belair to a women's championship match next week. Zelina Vega takes on Cesaro in a 10-minute classic. Again, Cesaro is now sad Cesaro with no money, just like Baron Corbin. It's a new character. It's pretty solid sports entertainment if you ask me. Zelina Vega wins. Then in the main event, the Street Profits take on Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox for the tag titles. Shotzi and Tegan Nox get the win. And I know you're probably assuming the show went really well. It did. I'm not saying it didn't do really well. I'm just saying that Dominic Mysterio and Rick Boogs got a 1. But I'm more concerned about Rick Boogs' picture in this. It's kind of making me uncomfortable. Natalya and Tamina got a 5. I set the aim of the match to steal the show, and they didn't. Zelina Vega and Cesaro had an absolute banger of a match, but it didn't really seem to be enough to salvage the rating of the overall show. Big John Laurinaitis turned up hungover, and I have this rule where I can't fire any wrestlers because that kind of defeats the purpose of seeing who's the most loyal to SmackDown. No rule about firing staff, so he's gone. Cesaro left, Jey Uso left, Sasha Banks left, Baron Corbin left, and Montez Ford left. And Dominic Mysterio has walked away. Now that may be a body blow, but that is not going to stop us from putting on a fucking banging show for week 4, because okay, we may have lost Montez Ford, but we still have the big dog, Angelo Dawkins. He takes on Rey Mysterio in a 30-minute number one contenders match and wins. Rey Mysterio apparently went out of his way to make Angelo Dawkins look weak. Very unprofessional, but that won't ruin the show. Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz take on Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode in a number one contenders match for the tag titles. Apollo and Aziz win. Zelina Vega takes on Rick Boogs in a 20-minute classic. Zelina Vega wins. Natalya and Tamina have their rematch, but this time it's for the now vacant Intercontinental Championship, but Tamina wins. Toni Storm takes on Bianca Belair for the women's title, and Toni wins in a minute. Then in the main event, a 30-minute classic for the Universal title, Angelo Dawkins versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor wins. Now, I'm not saying this show is bad, but Dave Meltzer has left the wrestling business. Ziggler, Bianca and Rey Mysterio also left, but that does not mean we can't put on our first pay-per-view under my booking. We were meant to do SummerSlam because, again, the data is a little bit outdated, but I've decided, look, SummerSlam, it's a bit old, bit boring. We've kind of done it now for many years, so I've decided we're going to spice things up a little bit. Slam down in Saudi Arabia sounds a lot more hip, a lot more trendy, a lot more down with the kids, so that's what we're going to do. Bobby Roode versus Zelina Vega in a 30-minute opener. The winner goes on to face Balor in the main event. Bobby Roode wins. Angelo Dawkins again taking on the incredibly low resolution Rick Boogs. Another 30-minute classic, Angelo Dawkins wins. Then, for the tag titles, the men and women's tag titles, Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz takes on Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. Apollo and Aziz win. Then Tamina takes on Toni Storm, champion versus champion, Intercontinental champion versus the SmackDown Women's champion. Tamina wins in a minute. Balor takes on Roode in a 30-minute main event for the Universal title, and Finn Balor walks out as champion. Another great show, but apparently they were really unhappy that they didn't have enough big names on the card. And I've never quite understood this argument. Like, I could bring in former Bolton Wanderers player Stanis Giannakopoulos. He's got a massive name. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a good wrestler or that anybody wants to see him. Okay, now it's time for the hardline stance again. Undertaker will apparently be leaving us. John Cena will be leaving us. Corey Graves. Robert Roode. What the fuck? We actually didn't really lose anyone then, so going into week 5, things are looking pretty good. Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz open up against the Alpha Academy, who I admittedly forgot were there, and this is for the tag titles. Apollo and Aziz win. Then Shotzi Blackheart beats Liv Morgan. Zelina Vega loses to Tegan Nox. That way we'll get Shotzi versus Tegan in a number one contenders match next week. Natalya takes on Tamina again to complete the trilogy, a 30-minute masterpiece. All the gold on the line. Natalya wins. Finn Balor takes on Angelo Dawkins for the title in the main event. The rematch that Angelo Dawkins and all his fans have been waiting for. A 50-minute classic, but Finn Balor yet again retains. Then Slapjack comes out and challenges Finn Balor and beats him in a minute, wins the Universal title. SmackDown has lost all its TV deals. Finn Balor is left and Liv Morgan's had enough. But we learned so much from this experience. We learned that perhaps the people who we view as the leaders and those most loyal to the cause of standing up for WWE are traitors, are snakes, are not to be trusted, are weak, and that the real leaders and the real loyal soldiers lie beneath people such as Slapjack, Shotzi, Tegan, Natalya, Tamina, Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz. These are the wrestlers who are truly loyal to WWE, and these are the wrestlers who we should be caring about. And for some reason the McMahons beat the shit out of Sheamus. I never really quite understood why they did that.